This is Ham College, episode 14 for February 29th, 2016. This episode of Ham College is brought to you by ICOM. Discover D-Star this season and communicate with your friends across the globe. And by hamstudy.org, a great place to study for your amateur license exam. Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Ham College, number 14. I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
And we've got an interesting topic tonight, one that you were saying before the show here is a little misunderstood.
Yeah, it is a little misunderstood. It's probably the thing that when I took my technician test that I had to really work the hardest on. It's some tough stuff, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, I think the basics of it are pretty easy to understand and grasp. It's just some of the fine details are a little complicated.
Yeah, so you may get to actually use that buzzer sound this month.
I could, because I know
very well may.
I know you didn't read over the questions in advance, and I got money on you're going to miss a few of these.
Yeah, I'll probably miss a few of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get you ready for that right now.
Okay.
You got the buzzer ready?
I do. Well, you know, anytime we're doing an episode of Ham College, we like to have a chat room going at the same time. We've got a great bunch of folks in there. If you're watching us live there, go over to AmateurLogic.TV/chat. There you'll find the Ham College chat room. Got a good group going in there right now, and they kind of help us out as we go along. They feed us the right answers and a few of the wrong ones.
Yeah, and speaking of the chat, if you're watching us on YouTube, obviously, if you're in the YouTube chat, don't go there. Go to the one that you see on the screen right now because we can't monitor the YouTube one at the same time.
Right. So this is where all the excitement's going on.
Right.
Last month's topic was SOS, the history of SOS and emergency communications. Well, we got something else that's gone on that I don't think you know about this either.
I probably don't.
You probably don't.
Honestly, barely even got here tonight. My plane coming back from Dallas was delayed.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have much prep time today, so I just basically ran from the airport, went home, grabbed my stuff, changed shirts, and came on.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. I remember you you called me on the radio and you said, I don't know that I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just proud to be here.
I'm just proud you are too. We got something here.
Oh, awesome. No, I did not know about that.
I don't have a close-up. I should have took a picture of this. It came in this week. It's an ARRL Mentor Program Elmer Award awarded. Oops. Awarded to AmateurLogic and Ham College. And what it says is in recognition for providing unselfish and benevolent assistance to the novice radio operator by carrying on the time-honored tradition in amateur radio of sharing knowledge and providing guidance and support. You are ensuring that others may experience the wonder, excitement, and friendship of amateur radio. This expression of gratitude is presented by...
Oh, Emil.
Yep.
KE5QKR.
Yep.
The old man.
The cheap old man. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just the old man.
Thanks, Emil. We feel
awesome.
bona fide now.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's great.
Yeah. And I didn't even know we were doing anything benevolent. Is that even legal?
Can you do that?
That's what I'm wondering.
We'll have to Google that.
Yeah, we need to get a picture frame and hang this on the wall.
Yeah, that's cool. Appreciate that, Emil.
Yeah. Thanks, Emil. Well, Tommy,
it's been nice having him over on AmateurLogic.
It has, yeah.
So he's been on the last, 3 shows, I think?
Yeah, just looking to see if he was in the chat room here tonight. I don't see him yet. Maybe he'll show up in there before the night's out. Yeah, Emil's been back with us on Amateur Logic here the last several episodes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so check it out over there if you haven't
Yep.
seen him.
it's cheap.
Just my price.
Yeah, and it's another one of our buddies, so we're really glad to have him back helping us out there.
Well, tonight's topic is radio propagation. By definition, radio propagation is the behavior of radio waves when they're transmitted or propagated from one point on Earth to another or into various parts of the atmosphere. As a form of electromagnetic radiation, radio waves are affected by various factors such as reflection, refraction, diffraction, absorption, polarization, and scattering. That's a mouthful right there. That's a lot of actions.
That's a lot of reads in there.
Yeah. Some of you have heard of this before. It's been referred to as skip or other slang terms like that.
Yeah.
Since radio communications typically line of sight, propagation is the magic that allows you to talk around the curvature of the Earth. Radio propagation is affected by the changes of water vapor in the troposphere and ionization in the upper atmosphere due to the sun. Understanding the effects of these different conditions can help determine which bands are best to work at various times. Radio propagation is also affected by several factors determined by its path from point to point. This path can be a direct line of sight path or an over-the-horizon path, aided by refraction in the ionosphere. Factors including ionospheric radio signal propagation can include sporadic E, spread F, solar flares, geomagnetic storms, and other solar events.
I'm with you so far.
Okay, good. Radio waves at different frequencies propagate in different ways. For instance, at extremely low frequencies, ELF, the wavelength is much larger than the separation between the Earth's surface and the D layer of the ionosphere, so electromagnetic waves may propagate in this region as waveguide, which basically means it's just channeling it right through.
It's ducting is what we call that.
The interaction of radio waves in the ionized region of the atmosphere make radio propagation more complex to predict and analyze than in free space. Ionospheric radio propagation has a strong connection to space weather.
Yeah, it does. And there was something I wanted to show here, Tommy. You're showing the ionospheric layers here in this graphic. This one right here, I was thinking, the ionosphere is just one of the layers.
Yeah, there are actually layers in the ionosphere.
Yeah, I did not realize that the atmosphere itself had the exosphere, the thermosphere, the mesosphere, the stratosphere, and the troposphere. I was thinking the ionosphere was one more layer down in there, but no, actually it extends over several of these atmospheric layers.
Oh, okay.
You see that there? It goes all the way from the exosphere down through the thermosphere and right down near the mesosphere or mesos. I guess that's how you say that. But anyway, I digress.
Is this the epiphany that you had?
This is the epiphany I had. I did not realize that the ionosphere was not just another layer in the atmosphere. It's actually kind of running parallel to it. Is the way I interpret this right here.
Yeah, well, you could be right.
Yeah, could be wrong too. But
A sudden ionospheric disturbance or shortwave fade out is observed when the X-rays associated with a solar flare ionize the ionospheric D region. Enhanced ionization in that region increases the absorption of radio signals passing through it. I told you, this is some pretty heavy-duty stuff.
yeah,
During the strongest solar X-ray flares, complete absorption is virtually all ionospherically propagated radio signals in the sunlit hemisphere can occur. These solar flares can disrupt HF radio propagation and affect GPS accuracy. And that's a lot of stuff that Dr. Tamitha does talks about on Ham Nation, which is pretty interesting stuff.
there's several different types of propagation.
Yeah.
That we've got. And
Yeah, but some of those are ground wave, sky wave, meteor scatter, auroral backscatter, sporadic E propagation, tropospheric scattering, tropospheric ducting, rain scattering, airplane scattering, which I haven't heard of that one before, lightning scattering, But luckily, there's some pretty cool online resources to kind of help you predict and determine the propagation conditions. And I did Google it when I was looking some of this stuff up, and there were quite a few interesting hits, and there are actually some apps for your phone as well.
Huh. Maybe we should have downloaded some of those.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Well, let's kind of talk about a few of these various types as well as we can.
Okay.
I think we got a demonstration we can do here. First, let's take a look at what a ground wave looks like. Say I've got my handy talkie here.
Yeah,
and we're going to talk ground wave.
Here, let me transmit to you over there.
Okay. And you're using...
I'm using my hot laser pointer here.
Mm-hmm. If we can get it lined up, it's kind of tough.
Well, your handy talkie's not on the...
Yeah, there it is. So now I'm hearing Tommy just straight path between us here. This would be called ground wave.
W5JDX M5ZNO.
You're sounding kind of red tonight. All right, so now that's good when we can talk ground wave. We got a path straight between us. But what if there was a mountain right here? I don't have a fake mountain.
You don't have a
handy
mountain
here. Actually, I do. Here we go. I've got a box of awesome right here. Now hit me with ground wave.
Yeah, it's not working out so
Not
well.
really working, is it? Nope. So how do we get around this? Well, depending on what band we're on, but on some bands, we've got sky waves. This is the sky right here.
That is?
Yeah, now we're going to have to make the mountain a little bit shorter.
Is this the ionosphere?
That's the ionosphere. So hit me up there with a little bit of
I have no idea.
wave.
I have no idea where they're hearing me.
Yeah. Help. I saw it there. There it was. Got it. Well, I think we're going to have to adjust the sky wave there a little bit. There we go. Now you're going up. You're hitting one of the layers up here in the ionosphere, and you're bouncing back down here on my arm. There we go. I got it in my hand now.
There you go.
That would be an example of sky wave.
Yeah.
So we've talked about ground wave, sky wave. Now show us meteor scatter. That's not really able to pull that off.
Ceiling fan scatter is about the best I can do.
Yeah. I should have tied some tin foil around the blades up there, and we could have maybe done it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Meteor scatter, that's when your signal's bouncing off the tail of meteors.
Yeah.
That's
pretty amazing to think about that even happening.
Yeah. But it does.
Yeah.
Auroral backscatter.
Yeah, a lot of these I've never heard of.
Sporadic E-propagation, we're familiar with that. That happens a lot. Now, a lot of these are 6 meters really, plays into a lot of these modes.
Yeah, 6 and 10 in that area.
Tropospheric scattering and tropospheric ducting. I think those are the same thing. I could be wrong on that. But that's when, and we don't have enough mirrors or we could show you that. The signal goes up, it hits a troposphere, and then it bounces back, goes a little ways, hits the bottom of it, bounces back up. It just kind of rides through the troposphere there.
The tropospheric ducting is usually when there's like a temperature inversion.
It is.
It basically makes a channel. And like we were talking about the waveguide earlier, it basically runs it through a channel that's up in the troposphere.
So what happens is there's a layer of air cooler on the ground than it is up there at a certain level in the troposphere. So what happens is cold air gets trapped up in there. There's a warm layer below it, and that's how it's able to go up and bounce around in there and then come back down somewhere else. And I've observed that a lot working in broadcasting over the years. I had a station that was, transmitter site was 20 miles away. The antenna was 1,800 feet in the air. 100,000 watt station. No problem listening to it on anything you wanted, around the area here. really good signal. Some mornings we would have tropospheric ducting, or also might call it a temperature inversion. And they couldn't even pick up the station there at the studio. They were hearing some other station.
Oh, wow.
And you would think that the antenna, or the transmitter was off the air and that it wasn't working. We were hearing somebody else. No, the transmitter was on the air. What was happening is that layer of hot air was occurring below the 1,400 foot level, and the signal was just getting trapped in there and running along, ducting along, coming down somewhere else. So it was just skipping right over the top of, our intended area here. The way I worked around that is I had a backup antenna that was down about 500 feet.
Oh.
And so I could switch over to the auxiliary antenna, and then you could hear it because we were below
the
duct.
phenomena.
Yeah, and we'd run like that a few hours till the duct cleared on out.
Yeah, we've experienced that before. Used to when I would drive a good ways in the morning to work. On those mornings when it'd been warm and it gets cool at night, or right before the morning starts warming up, you can hear repeaters for 200, 250 miles off. Yeah, just like they're right here.
They're really an exciting part of being a technician and working 2 meters. That's when you can work some long distance stuff on 2 meters.
Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun stuff, and it mostly happens in the morning. So especially when the weather's kind of changing, it pays to get up.
Or late in the evening.
Yeah, it does happen in the evening, but
Yeah.
I've had better luck with it in the mornings myself. But
Well, that's because you go to bed in the evenings and get up in the morning, and I was doing right the opposite.
Yeah, see, works out well for me.
Yeah, but it's also it's seasonal. More certain times of the year you're more likely to see it than others, and certain parts of the country you're more likely to see it than others. But definitely something that you'll enjoy if you get your technician exam, get on 2 meters. You can even work it on a handy talkie when it's really coming in good. It's just amazing. You're talking to somebody 500 miles away on a handy talkie.
Yeah. It's pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. Rain scattering. I'm not sure what they're meaning here, but you wrote it down, so explain it to us.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I believe it's when just because all the raindrops and it just kind of diffuses or diffracts the radio signals and just kind of scatters them all over.
Yeah, I think that's
kind of like the shotgun approach.
Yeah, that's going to affect the higher frequencies, I believe. Particularly, well, maybe what they mean there is like what we'd call a rain fade on satellite. You've got such a heavy rainstorm. We were talking about DirecTV earlier this afternoon. You were thinking about maybe going to it, and I was talking about my experience with it. It worked great, except, when it got a super heavy thunderstorm, it would fade out. And the same thing can happen with, say, microwave communications, that are working point to point with the dishes on the ground. You can get on the higher frequencies enough rain that it'll make it fade. Airplane scattering, that is interesting. I wish I had some audio we could play of that. I've observed that a number of times.
Really?
Do you know?
I have not.
You have, but you didn't know it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
I bet you. What it sounds like, you're talking to somebody, say on with say 2 meters. I suspect 440 would be affected by it as well. Not sure about 6 meters, maybe. And you're within range of each other, and all of a sudden you hear a fading of the signal, rapid fading up and down. And you don't lose them. You still got them, but you're just hearing the signal kind of fade up and down real quick. You can look up and you'll see a jet flying over. And when that jet gets, on further where it's not between the two of you there, it goes away. What's happening there is it's causing multipath. I mean, you're hearing, the ground wave signal straight between us, but we're also getting a reflection off that airplane coming back down, and it's out of phase, so it's canceling. And it's an interesting effect. First few times I heard it, I wasn't exactly sure that's what it was, but then I got to noticing there's always an airplane flying over when I heard that sound.
Oh, that's
Yep.
pretty interesting stuff.
It is. And then lightning scattering.
Yeah, that one I don't think I've experienced either. I've heard lightning interference,
Yeah. I'm
but
not
it's
sure about
never I've
lightning
never had it
scattering.
work to my favor. But it was in part of the data that I looked up. So
You know, we were talking about the ionospheric layers, and you start closest to the Earth, and you got the D layer, and then you got some E layers. It's split up into more than one layer. Then you got a couple of F layers, F1 and then F2. The D layer, the one closest to the Earth there, how far out do you think that one is, Tommy?
less than 100 kilometers.
So you're saying 25 to 55 miles.
That would probably be my guess.
And what is the D layer good for? What band does it affect the most? It's 7 megahertz or 40 meters. And we've only got a D layer during the daytime. Did you realize all these layers we're looking at here, the only one we've got at night is the F layer. The others kind of go away because the sun's not,
They're all
hitting
driven
the
by
ionosphere.
the sun, sort of.
Yep. So at night we've got those top ones there, the F layer. During the day, we've got D's, E's, and F's. So if we move on up from the D layer, the next one we got there would be the E layer. And the E layer is out, how far would you say it is out?
Well, it looks to be a little over 100 kilometers, so 50 to 100 miles.
Yeah, 55 to 90 miles, roughly. And the E layer, what it's good for, and there again, the E layer goes away at night. But during the daytime when we got it, it works best for reflecting 14 megahertz, or the 20 meter band. So we can see as the layers get higher, the frequencies that are being affected get higher.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, we've got a couple of F layers there, and these are the ones that, are really important. All of them are, but 90 to 150 miles out would be the F1 layer. And what's it going to affect most? 21 megahertz. How many meters is that? 15 meters?
So what's the F2 layer good for?
Yeah, the F2 layer is, greater than 250 miles. That one is good for 28 megahertz or 10 meters. The F1 and F2 layers, those become just the F layer at night. There's only one layer at night.
Oh, okay.
I didn't talk about the 80 meter band. The 80 meter band, is really only open at night.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get the best distance out of it. I should have studied this more, don't you think? And you should have too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had no time.
Why is 80 meters open at night? And it goes contrary to everything we just said about that, the ionospheric layers there. You see that D layer right there? That absorbs signals from 1 to 7 megahertz during the day. And so that's why we don't have good 80 meter propagation during the day. It's that D layer there.
Mm-hmm.
At night, the D layer goes away, so it's not absorbing our spectrum below 7 megahertz anymore. Well, this is what we're talking about tonight. It's going to be interesting questions here for sure.
Yeah, I'll probably be exhausted when we leave here.
Me too. But hey, it's got to be done. It's part of your exam. Like I say, most of these concepts are pretty simple. Getting the fine details might be a little more challenging, but
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's take a break. Let's get a message from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and just get right on into the questions.
All right.
Discover D-Star this season and operate over the Internet gateway through repeaters. Uplink your local repeater, downlink from a remote repeater, and enjoy clear audio as you communicate with friends across the globe. Choose from 5 fun color options with the ID51A+. This D-Star dual bander features integrated GPS, free downloadable RS-MS1A Android app, Near Me repeater function for D-Star as well as analog repeaters, and it's available in classic black, sunset orange, passion pink, ultraviolet, and lime. If you're just starting out in D-Star, check out the ID880H. Features include VHF, UHF, dual band functionality, one band at a time, good menu structure and easy programming, and fast multiple scanning for maximum reception. Interested in hands-free D-Star operation? Hit the road with the ID5100A. This radio offers optional Bluetooth capability, large backlit screen for high contrast viewing, and 50 watts of output power on both VHF and UHF. Limited jack space? No problem. The IC7100 base station is a great compact D-Star option. It covers HF, 6 meters, VHF, and UHF. An angle control head and touchscreen for quick intuitive operation, large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and it's perfect for multiband and all-mode communications. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM's D-Star radios. Well, Tommy, I think it's about time that we give away something before we get into these questions, because we may forget all about this little giveaway here.
All right.
I'm going to have to draw someone here. What are we going to give away?
Man, we're going to give away this stylish ICOM cap and ICOM Ham Crew t-shirt. Very similar to the ones from last month. Compliments of our friends at ICOM.
Okay.
Be one of the best dressed folks at the Ham Fest, like I usually say. It's still true.
Mike Pemberton, K0IKZ.
All right, congrats, Mike.
Now let's get on into the questions here. The first one tonight. Well, why don't you read this one, Tommy?
What is the usual name for electromagnetic waves that travel through space? A. Gravity waves.
B. Sound waves.
C. Radio waves.
Or D. Pressure waves. And you asked the question, so I will answer it.
Okay.
And I think we all know the answer to this one. Easy enough. Radio waves. C. And that's what we're seeing here in the chat room.
Yeah. Okay.
Radio waves.
Radio waves it is.
All right. Well,
I don't think there was much question about that one.
I don't think so. All right, moving on to the next one here. Which part of the atmosphere enables the propagation of radio signals around the world? A, the stratosphere.
B, the troposphere.
C, the ionosphere.
Or D, the magnetosphere.
So what do you think, Tommy?
Okay, so that will show how much I was unprepared for this one here, probably. So it's not the magnetosphere. I'm going to go with, nobody in the chat room's helping me out here either, so.
They're not.
No.
Yeah, they're helping you, but don't look.
Are they?
Yeah. What do you
Okay.
think?
I'm thinking it's going to be the ionosphere.
You think it's the ionosphere? Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right. The stratosphere is that's in Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's got a roller coaster on the top of it.
Yeah. Well, you're right.
All right.
Ionosphere.
One down.
One down. Yeah.
By the time that show's over, I'm going to be sweating over here and everything and dripping down on my shirt.
Yeah. Stratosphere, that doesn't really help radio propagation. Troposphere has some effect on it. We talked about tropospheric ducting earlier.
Yeah.
But ionosphere, that's the one that allows you to,
Yeah, I think the
talk around the
troposphere
world.
is not quite as far.
Yep. Okay, next question here.
What is the radio horizon? A, the distance over which two stations can communicate by direct path.
B, the distance from the ground to a horizontally mounted antenna.
C, the farthest point you can see when standing at the base of your antenna tower.
Or D, the shortest distance between 2 points on the Earth's surface. Okay, this is my answer. What is the radio horizon? Shortest distance between 2 points on the Earth's surface? No. I'm not even, well.
The shortest distance between 2 points. That doesn't even really make sense.
Well, I think if you went around backwards,
Depends on where the points are.
There would be 2 paths to any 2 points on the Earth. The one direct and the one going all the way around the world.
The one well, you can't see it. The ones between here and the ones that where you go all the way around and get back to the other side.
Yep. Yep. I think, well, I don't know that you can show us that with the laser pointer. So, well, we know
Not
it's
without a big set of mirrors.
now we know it's not that one. See, the farthest point you can see when standing at the base of your antenna tower. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. The radio horizon. Why would you stand at the base to see the farthest point? You'd want to climb up on the tower and see the farthest point. But, I mean, that's not what they're saying. So, I know it's not C, standing at the base of my tower and looking. B, the distance from the ground to a horizontally mounted antenna. No.
What's that got to do with the horizon?
Yeah, I don't think that, yeah. I mean, it might affect the radio horizon, but that's not the definition of it. And who cares if it's horizontal or vertical, really? So I'm saying it's A, the distance over which two stations can communicate by a direct path.
I concur with that.
Okay, well, let's see. Everybody in the chat room is saying A, and it is A. So give me one there. All right. Well,
So
the
far
next
we've
one here.
survived. What's that, 3?
That's 3.
All right.
Nobody's out yet. Why do VHF and UHF radio signals usually travel somewhat further than the visual line of sight distance between two stations? It's A, radio signals move somewhat faster than the speed of light.
B, radio waves are not blocked by dust particles.
C, the Earth seems less curved to radio waves than to light.
D, radio waves are blocked by dust particles. Well, there are 2 contradicting ones right there. So this one's mine. I'm going to go backwards. D, radio waves are blocked by dust particles. I don't think that's really going to have much effect on it at all.
And it's not going to make a signal travel somewhat further.
No. C, the Earth seems less curved to radio waves than to light. I think that's going to be the answer. B, radio waves are not blocked by dust particles. Irrelevant. A, radio signals are somewhat faster than the speed of light, and that's untrue. So I'm sticking with my answer of C, Charlie.
Okay. And congratulations. You got another one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, radio signals move somewhat faster than the speed of light. No, nothing moves faster than the speed of light, does it? Last time I clocked it, it didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Radio signals actually can move a little bit slower depending on the medium that they're going through. Say if you're shooting it down a coax, that slows it down a little bit. It's not quite the speed of light because we've got something there we call velocity factor. That's when we talk about coax cable, that's what the velocity factor is affecting, is the speed that it's going through there. Well, next question here.
Why are direct, not via repeater, UHF signals rarely heard from stations outside your local coverage area? A, they're too weak to go very far.
B, FCC regulations prohibit them from going more than 50 miles.
C, UHF signals are usually not reflected by the ionosphere.
And D, they collide with trees and shrubbery and fade out.
I don't know who makes up some of these.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they are. Well, let me read the question again. Why are direct, not via repeater, UHF signals rarely heard from stations outside your local coverage area? They're too weak to go very far. You'd almost think that, but they can go a distance, so I'm going to say that's not it. B, FCC regulations prohibit them from going more than 50 miles. No, in amateur radio, the FCC regulations don't specify how many miles you can go on anything.
No, just power.
So that's not it. D, they collide with shrubbery, with trees and shrubbery and fade out. No, I don't think that's the answer we're looking for, although that does kind of sound like a good one. But, I mean, that's
Only
That's
if
not
you're trying to
preventing us.
listen sitting on the ground behind the bushes.
But that's not preventing us from hearing somebody outside our local coverage area. So I think, and according to the chat room here,
you're not supposed to look at the chat room.
well, I am. They got, they're all over the place on this one, so I can look at it.
Ah.
We've got C, D's, and A's. I think it's C. UHF signals are
That's
usually
what I think too.
not reflected by the ionosphere, and we know that's true. UHF signals really aren't, reflected by the ionosphere. That mostly affects HF frequencies.
Yeah, I think it's because of the wavelength.
Yep. Well, let's see if we're right. And we are.
All right, man.
So that
we're
they're
doing
getting
a lot better than I thought we would.
They're getting a little tougher though.
They are. Which of the following effects might cause radio signals to be heard despite obstructions between the transmitting and receiving stations? A. Knife edge diffraction.
B. Faraday rotation.
C. Quantum tunneling.
Or D. Doppler shift. And this is my answer.
This is yours.
Which of the following effects might cause radio signals to be heard despite obstructions between the transmitter and receiving stations? Well, Doppler shift. That's not it. Doppler shift is like, and I don't know that kids have really heard this as much as we did when we were growing up, but Doppler shift, well, of course, it's used for radar quite often, but the best example I can think of is I'm standing here on the side of the train track, and when the train's approaching, I hear the horn blowing at a particular frequency. As it gets closer, the frequency changes. As it passes by, the frequency takes a dip.
Mm-hmm.
That's Doppler shift. If something's approaching you and then passing you, the frequency appears to slightly shift on it, although it really didn't. From your vantage point, it did.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not
phenomenon.
that. Yep. C, quantum tunneling. No, I don't think that's it. I'm not really sure what that is, but it's not the answer.
Do we even have a quantum tunnel around here?
We don't.
So
we don't have any
can't be
tunnels. Yeah, in Mississippi. All right, Faraday rotation. I'm not sure that's a thing either.
Doesn't seem like a thing.
Well, that only leaves us with knife edge diffraction, and I was not really familiar with that term, but I think that's what it's going to be. So what are they saying? Now, they're kind of all over the place in the chat room.
Well, I think it's A.
You're going to go with knife edge diffraction, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see.
And now I think what that is if you have some, if it says despite obstructions, so I'm thinking that the radio waves are going to be able to work their way through small openings.
Yeah, and I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm going to try to explain it.
Okay.
You got a mountain here between us. We shoot a radio signal up. The mountain blocks it, but there's a phenomenon that makes a certain part of that signal kind of split and try to follow the curvature of it.
Oh.
And comes down on the other side. Now it's not a lot of the signal, but a small portion of it will be refracted and come on over. Or you're actually going to look it up, huh?
I think you're right. Radio propagation effect, in which atmospheric attenuation of a signal is reduced when the signal passes over and is diffracted by a sharp obstacle such as a mountain ridge.
Yep. All right, well, let's move on to another one here. But how did they do over in the chat room? Yeah, they were a little sketchy on that one too. I think that proves these are tougher questions than we've been having.
Yeah, this is a tough subject.
Yep. But still not insurmountable.
Yeah, it's not, a lot of these things on the technician test are things that if you've been around any type of electronics or any kind of radio stuff at all, a lot of it you've probably picked up on. But this stuff right here is stuff that you really probably wouldn't have been exposed to unless you actually went looking for it.
Yeah, you don't hear things like knife edge diffraction come up in everyday conversation.
Oh, we talk about that all the time. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, not.
Okay, next question here. What mode is responsible for allowing over-the-horizon VHF and UHF communications to ranges of approximately 300 miles on a regular basis? A, tropospheric scatter.
B, D-layer refraction.
C, F2 layer refraction.
Or D, Faraday rotation. There it is again. I'm going to go ahead and scratch D right now. F2 layer refraction. Tropospheric scatter. D
Yeah.
layer refraction. Now this one, I'm honestly going to probably have to guess on this one. I have a hunch.
Yeah, I don't think you really need to guess on this one. If you read that question again, there's a key point in there that I think's going to...
What mode is responsible for allowing over the horizon VHF and UHF communications?
and that's the important part right there.
Yeah,
VHF.
and that's why I have a hunch. I think it's going to be A.
Tropospheric scatter.
That's what I think.
Tropospheric ducting is, what
Because we were
used to
talking
calling
about
it.
that earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I think that's it. But other than that, I have no way to reason the other two out.
Well, the answers that we've got coming in here on the chat room are a little mixed on this too, but I'm with you. It's going to be tropospheric scatter because I don't think the other layers really come into effect on VHF and UHF very much, if at all.
Yeah.
There you go.
I did get it. Yeah, that was
We
close.
got through
'Cause
another
I
one.
really wasn't sure, but just because of the UHF and VHF stuff, I thought it was troposphere.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's your key right there. The troposphere is the layer that affects these higher frequencies like VHF and UHF. Frequencies below that, the HF frequencies or medium wave frequencies, those are the ones that get up into the ionosphere and do stuff. But VHF and UHF, the troposphere is the one that's your buddy.
ionosphere.
Not the ionosphere, it don't help.
What is a characteristic of VHF signals received by auroral reflection? A, signals from distance of 10,000 or more miles are common.
B, the signal exhibits rapid fluctuations of strength and often sounds distorted.
C, these types of signals occur only during winter nighttime hours.
And D, these type of signals are generally strongest when your antenna is aimed west. All right, I think we can narrow out.
Auroral reflection.
All right, what is the aurora?
Like the northern lights.
Okay.
From the solar radiation, I think,
Okay.
bouncing off the atmosphere.
All right, what characteristic of VHF signals? All right, so the frequencies got everything to do with these questions. They're all frequency dependent. So if we look at A there, signals from distances of 10,000 or more miles are common. No, I don't know if anybody's ever talked 10,000 or more miles on VHF
Much less
on-
commonly.
on the Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, now you might, I'm not even sure how far off the moon is. It's more than 10,000 miles, I guess. So you can do moon bounds.
Do I need to Google that?
I think maybe you should, because I could be telling a lie. It's got to be more than 10,000 miles.
Siri, how
Anyway,
far is the moon?
VHF signals don't go 10,000 miles. It just don't happen on Earth here. All right, B, the signal exhibits rapid fluctuations of strength and often sounds distorted. I'm going to say that's a good possibility there. The aurora is kind of, interfering with our signal there. C, these type of signals occur only during winter nighttime hours. Now, I don't know that that's got anything to do with it. I think if the aurora is there, it doesn't matter if it's nighttime or not. I mean, maybe it does as far as
You
us
only ever see
visibly
it at
seeing it.
nighttime.
Yeah, but we couldn't see it in the day.
Mhm.
But radio waves can.
Mhm.
If it's there, it's there. All right, so D, the types of signals are generally strongest when your antenna is aimed to the west. And that doesn't seem like that would mean anything at all. So I'm going to go it's B. The signal exhibits rapid fluctuations of strength and often sounds distorted. And we've got a B there.
I believe it's Bravo also.
Yeah.
It's the only one that really makes any sense.
Yeah. People are not answering these.
Yeah, they're tough. At least they're not
Left
only
ahead.
tough to me, they're tough to others obviously as well.
Yeah. We have to answer them here whether we get it right or not. So far we're batting 100. Let's see.
And incidentally, the moon is 238,900 miles.
So it is a little more than
Someone
10,000
looked it up.
miles.
Just a few more.
Okay, well there you go. B, the signal exhibits rapid fluctuations of strength and often sounds distorted. So there you go. That's what an
Okay.
aurora reflection can do to your VHF signal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we probably don't have any of that down here. That's probably the people up in the north
Yeah.
probably experience that more. Here's one for you. No VHF signal's ever gone over 10,000 miles, but what about people doing moon bounce?
Well, that's what I was talking about. I said on Earth,
Okay.
no signal has gone over 10,000 miles. But on moon bounce, or when you're talking with satellites, I'm not sure how far the satellites are. I should have just
It'll
not
show
even
up on
gone
it'll
there.
show up on my
in the
iPad here
chat
in just a
room in a
minute,
minute.
because you said that.
Yeah. But no, on Earth, I don't
Okay.
think a VHF signal has ever gone 10,000 miles, at least.
Not without leaving Earth and coming back.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. What causes tropospheric ducting? This sounds like a familiar topic, Tommy.
It does.
A, discharges of lightning during electrical storms.
B, sunspots and solar flares.
C, updrafts from hurricanes and tornadoes.
Or D, temperature inversions in the atmosphere. Discharge of lightning during electrical storms, that is not going to be it. And I can't tell you why, but it's just not. I think that's more of a source of noise. Although there was lightning scatter on this list, and I'm going to do some more research on that later just to see. But sunspots and solar flares, that does affect your propagation, but not tropospheric ducting.
No.
Updrafts from hurricanes and tornadoes, no. I'm going with D, delta, temperature inversions in the atmosphere. And
Well,
that's kind of, we talked about that a little while ago.
Yeah, I think you're in good company there. Everybody in the chat room is saying D on this one. This is one of those that you'll know. I mean, we talked about VHF earlier. The troposphere is the layer that affects it. So there you go. Temperature inversions in the atmosphere.
All right. Done better than I thought. And I have no cheat sheet out here. This is my propagation article we read earlier. So
The night's still young.
the night is still young. No telling what could happen.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
What is generally the best time for long distance 10-meter band propagation via the F layer? Uh-oh, here's a new layer.
All right, and we're talking about 10 meters this time.
10 meters. A, from dawn to shortly after sunset during periods of high sunspot activity.
B, from shortly after sunset to dawn during periods of high sunspot activity.
From dawn to shortly after sunset during periods of low sunspot activity.
And from D, from shortly after sunset to dawn during periods of low sunspot activity. And this one, I don't know, Tommy, this is going to be tough. What is generally the best time for long distance 10-meter band propagation via the F layer? It's going to be.
I know the answer to that one.
I think it's going to be during high sunspot activity. So that's going to mean it's either A or B. From dawn to shortly after sunset during periods of high sunspot activity, or from shortly after sunset to dawn during periods of high sunspot activity. Well, and I could get this one wrong. And I don't. It's either A or B, and I don't want to give my reasoning out until after we know the answer, because I might steer somebody down a wrong path if I do. I'm leaning toward A. What are you leaning toward?
I think it's going to be A. That close.
Yeah. On the upper HF bands, and this is my reasoning on this one. On the upper HF bands, the propagation is usually best during the day. On the lower HF bands, like 160 meters or 80 meters and 40 meters, propagation is, well, 160 and 80 meters, propagation is always better at night, whether there's sunspots or not. 40 meters, you got propagation day and night. But you start getting up above that, say, and particularly 20 meters, it does not work at night a good part of the year. So 10 meters being a little below that, that's why I'm leaning toward shortly after sunset. Whether there's high sunspots or not, the upper HF frequencies are better in the day than they are at night. What band is the best suited for communicating via media scatter? A, 10 meters.
B, 6 meters.
C, 2 meters.
D, 70 centimeters.
Meteor scatter, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't talk about what band, though.
Well, it's not going to be 70 centimeters.
Okay.
That's UHF. That's just 2 meters. I don't think it's 10. I think it's going to be either 6 or 2.
All right. Narrow it on down for us.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out some logic to narrow it by. Okay, I'm going to, it's probably 2 meters, but I've just got a hunch that it's 6 meters.
All right, let's see. I think you're right.
It seems like I remember, yeah, that is right.
Yeah. Yep, that's right, it's 6 meters. And I kind of knew the answer to that one because I've got some friends who work meteor scatter, and I know they do it on 6 meters. So that's the one. I don't have a good way for you to remember that other than just telling you, remember, meteor scatter's on 6 meters.
Yeah, so I just kind of remembered that from the back of my mind from somewhere, but it seemed like 2 meters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got lucky.
6 meters, by the way, is what they call the magic band. Mm-hmm. Because most of the time, it's not doing so hot, but when it opens up, it's just like crazy the way that it works. You know, it's such a good band.
Yeah, I've worked a few band openings on 6 meters before. Mm-hmm. They were mobile at that.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So I've never had a 6 meter mobile antenna.
Really?
Yeah.
It was fun. Talked to Colorado and stuff for mobile. It's pretty cool. Which of the following might be happening when VHF signals are being received from long distance? A, signals are being reflected from outer space.
B, signals are arriving by subsurface ducting.
C, signals are being reflected by lightning storms in your area.
Or D, signals are being refracted from a sporadic E-layer.
I'm so glad this one is yours.
I knew you would be. Which of the following might happen when VHF signals are being received from long distances? Okay, we're talking about VHF. Mm-hmm. Important point here, we're talking about long distances. Signals are being reflected from outer space. I'm going to leave that one as a possibility. B, signals are arriving by subsurface ducting. No, I don't even know what that is. Is there such a thing as subsurface ducting?
I've heard of subspace frequencies.
But subsurface?
No.
No. So I know it's not B. C, signals are being reflected by a lightning storm in your area. No, that's not it. Lightning is it's really not reflecting signals, so we can kind of rule that one out. D, signals are being refracted by a sporadic E layer. I'm going to go with D just because sporadic E is a term I've heard a lot and
Because it's familiar?
because it's familiar. It is D, signals are being refracted from a sporadic E layer. Well, it slipped by on that one too.
Man, no buzzer tonight
No buzzer yet?
so far. I'm actually surprised because I expected us to have at least missed a few of them by now.
We got a few to go. Well, let's see if I can trip you up on this next one. Which of the following propagation types is most commonly associated with occasional strong over-the-horizon signals on the 10, 6, and 2 meter bands? A, backscatter.
B, sporadic E.
C, D-layer absorption.
D, gray line propagation. I don't think it's gray line propagation because I know that's typically the HF bands that we experience that with.
Lower frequencies. Yeah.
D layer absorption. Absorption is that's not really that's
That's
kind of
absorbing your signal.
That's going to kind of like attenuate the signal some, I would think. It might not be the right term, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, that's a good term. Yeah, works.
Sporadic E or backscatter. I believe the answer is going to be B, bravo, sporadic E.
Well, we've got
Backscatter. I don't even know what backscatter is, so that left me with E, with B.
okay.
I'm going with that.
All right, well, we got A's, D, and B as answers in the chat room here. I'm going to go with you and say sporadic E, but I'm not really sure either. It's either.
Yeah, I don't think it's there's a bunch of D's in there. I don't think it's gray line propagation.
No, I'm pretty sure
not
it's-
on those bands.
Nope, sporadic E.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that was worth a fist bump.
Yeah.
Are you new to the ham world or an existing amateur operator who wants to take your license to the next level? Study for your radio license exam at hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org is a free online learning tool powered by ICOM. It was created by Richard Bateman, KD7BBC, Michael Stufflebean, KV9G, and Rich Porter, KK6GKE, and it uses a modern web design to enhance the experience of studying for your technician, general, and amateur extra exams. Since 2013, hamstudy.org has helped new and existing hams to familiarize themselves with the question pools, use stats-based flashcards to focus on material they need to learn, and take practice exams to gauge progress. Visit hamstudy.org on your desktop computer or mobile device. Register for a free account at hamstudy.org to access personalized study history and other site features. Prepare for an exam in an intuitive and comprehensive manner. Check out hamstudy.org, powered by ICOM, for free learning tools. Good luck on your next exam.
It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. Ice cream, candy, lemonade too. And there's a hot dog waiting for you.
The popcorn's popping and it's ready to go. You know all the great food is stealing the show.
Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar.
Pardon me, boy.
Yeah, baby.
Will you take me to the snack bar?
You know what I like. Everything's ready when the first meal's over. There's nothing like a pizza with a ice cold cola. Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar. It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. It's intermission, it's intermission. Get up out your seat and get yourself a tasty treat down at the snack bar. Snack bar. It's intermission.
Well, I like those old clips. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's new to us.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ones that our friend Mike, VE3MIC, sent recently.
Yeah, he's just a wealth of, he's always sending some interesting stuff over here.
Interesting. I like the way that you pull that word out. Well, let's get on back into our questions here. We've got a few more to go.
All right, so I think it's my turn to read the question.
Okay.
Which of the following bands may provide long-distance communications during the peak of the sunspot cycle? A, 6 or 10 meters.
B, 23 centimeters.
C, 70 centimeters or 1.25 meters.
Or D, all of these choices are correct. Well, all of those aren't correct, so it's not D. C, 70 centimeters or 1.25 meters. Now, sunspots don't have much effect on these higher bands like this, so it's not that. B, 23 centimeters. Now, like I said, it's a frequency thing. Sunspots are more affect the lower frequencies, and the lowest frequencies we've got listed here as a possibility is 6 and 10 meters. So I'm going to say it's A. What do you think?
Oh yeah, and then we actually kind of covered this earlier. Similar. It was a very similar question.
So there we go. 6 or 10 meters. Let's move on to the next one here. Which of the following results from the fact that the skip signals refracted from the ionosphere are elliptically polarized?
Oh.
A, digital modes are unusable.
B, either vertically or horizontally polarized antennas may be used for transmission or reception.
C, FM voice is unusable.
D, both the transmitting and receiving antennas must be of the same polarization.
This would be a good
Okay,
one.
this one I think I know. I think I know this one, and the key is because it says elliptically polarized, which is circular polarization.
Is elliptical the same as circle?
It's
Elliptical's a little more oval.
But it's still
Yeah.
it's not a perfect circle, but it's still
All right.
very similar.
I'll agree.
Okay, so that's gonna rule out D. Both transmitting and receiving antennas must be of the same polarization, and C, FM voice is unusable. To me that's irrelevant.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
And digital modes, that shouldn't have anything to do with it either. I think the answer is going to be B. Either vertically or horizontally polarized antennas may be used for transmission or reception.
Well,
And that's because of the elliptical polarization.
yep, and everybody in the chat room saying B on this one. So I think you probably got it right there. That's what I would have chosen. There you go. Either
Awesome.
vertically or horizontally polarized antennas may be used for transmission or reception.
What property of a radio wave is used to describe its polarization? A, the orientation of the electrical field.
B, the orientation of the magnetic field.
C, the ratio of the energy in the magnetic field to the energy in the electrical field.
Or D, the ratio of the velocity to the wavelength. I know the answer to this one, but
Yeah, me too.
you do?
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, you do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's only one that really, to me, that makes any sense there.
All right. Well, which one would you say? Just
A.
A. Okay. It's not D, the ratio of the velocity to the wavelength. It's not C, the ratio of the energy in the magnetic field to the energy in the electric field. Well, it's A, the orientation of the electrical field. The orientation of the magnetic field is not used to determine polarization.
Right.
And let me just kind of qualify the reason for that. You've got an antenna here. This antenna is vertically polarized. If I turn it like that, it's horizontal.
Mhm.
All right, so when it's vertically polarized, we're talking about the electrical field, because radio waves have an electrical and a magnetic field, both. The electrical field is the one that we're talking about when we're talking about polarization. It just so happens that the electrical field and the magnetic field are at right angles to each other. If our electrical field is vertical, our magnetic field is horizontal.
Okay.
So it's got to be one or the other. It can't be both. So it's the electrical field is the one that we use to describe polarization.
Cool.
And there we go. And just about everybody in the chat room there, everyone who answered said it was an A.
Cool.
So on to the next one here. Which of the following is a likely cause of irregular fading of signals received by ionospheric reflection? A. Frequency shift due to Faraday rotation.
B. Interference from thunderstorms.
C. Random combining of signals arriving via different paths.
Or D. Intermodulation distortion. Which of the following is likely a cause of irregular fading of signals received by ionosphere reflection? So I'm going to go ahead and scratch intermodulation distortion off of the list, because that's having two signals combined essentially, right? It's causing the intermod. Random combining of signals arriving via different paths. That's multipath. Irregular fading. That's plausible. Interference from thunderstorms. I think not. Not fading. You can hear some noise in there, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Frequency shift due to Faraday rotation. That's not going to be it. It's got to be C. Charlie. Random combining of signals via different paths. Which of the following is likely cause of irregular fading? Because what I'm thinking here is almost the example that you said about the airplane earlier.
Mm-hmm. Or multipath. It's just like multipath. I'm going to go with you. It's going to be random combining of signals received.
Everybody
via
had
different
C on
paths.
the chat room too. So
Everybody was right. And that makes sense, because same example we gave. If we're putting out a signal here and I'm talking to you, you're going to get part of that signal direct, but you're also going to get some that's bouncing, off the ceiling.
Do I need to bounce some off the ceiling again?
I don't have the mirror handy.
Okay.
So, and that's going to be a time delay between the direct signal and the one that's being bounced. And, a time delay can cause a shift in the phase of the signal, and when two things are out of phase, they cancel. So
It cause a fluttering.
And that could cause a fluttering, like you're saying there, or
Fading.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. It is neat stuff. It's just some of it's
Yeah.
you just gotta
It's a
think
science,
about it.
really. It's a science, but none of these are out of the realm of understanding. I mean,
Now, so far we've been able to reason our way through the majority of them
yeah, it's
somehow.
somehow. And guess what? We got through them all.
No way. No buzzer this time?
No buzzer this
I
time.
thought for sure we'd hit the buzzer
I
at least
thought
2 or
we
3
would.
times.
And I think people are missing the buzzer, Tommy. So
Just hit it a few times.
that was interesting stuff, and I hope we got it all right.
Yeah, I need some Tylenol.
If we were saying where you can learn about when the next episode it'll be, facebook.com/group/AmateurLogic, or just go to Google Plus, search for AmateurLogic, and you'll come up on our community there. There's been a lot of great posting there lately.
Yeah, it's been it runs. We need to get that one going some more. It's a lot of good stuff
It's a
on
little
there.
different than the Facebook group.
It is. It's totally different, but it's not quite as active, but it's a fun place.
Yeah, and pretty good information. There's not a lot of I'm not going to use that term. I was going to say it's not a lot of junk to sift through, which, you know, generally Facebook is pretty good stuff.
It's not too much junk in our Facebook group. It's a good place.
But the Google Plus community is leaning more towards some interesting technical.
Yeah, it's a little more technical.
Yeah, but that's thanks to Mike VE3MIC, who finds a lot of good content.
Yeah, he keeps that going pretty good.
Yep. And you can follow us. And where is that?
On Twitter at AmateurLogic, and we also have another one at Ham College.
At Ham College. Yep. I guess I need to add that to the lower third too, don't I?
Yeah, and we're not quite as active on Twitter as we should be.
Yeah.
We do post when we're going to shoot there, so follow us for that. And then occasionally, if we're at a ham fest or something, I'll post something.
If we post something on Twitter, it's really important.
Yeah, so you sure don't want to miss that.
Yeah. And you can learn more about each episode of Amateur Logic and Ham College by going to AmateurLogic.TV/wiki. Our friend Dan N9LVS keeps that going for us.
Yeah, thanks to Dan for doing that. He does a great job on it.
Yep. Well, Tommy, I think we can put the ribbons on this one.
Yeah, maybe we'll get the buzzer out next time.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't even know what we'll be talking about next episode of Ham College, but I can guarantee you there'll be some questions in it.
Pretty sure that's a good gimme.
Okay. All right, 73, everyone. Have a good week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks on Amateur Logic.
73, everybody. Good night.
Do you even remember what we did last month?
I do remember. We had the topic was repeaters last month. So.
No, that was the month before. From shortly after sunset to dawn during periods of low sunspot activity.
From shortly after sunset to dawn during periods of low sunspot activity.
That's just what I said.
Yeah, I thought I heard it before. It sounds familiar. I'm looking at the chat room. Nobody's answered it. They must be having a hard time too. Man, you guys let me down.